Hey everyone, welcome to the Middle School Visual Arts PLC group. My name is Alicia Montgomery and I'm the moderator for this group. I'm so glad that you've joined this community. It was created with you in mind. Our goal is to collaborate and support each other as we navigate the craziness of teaching middle school visual arts. Whether you're the only one in your group or one of many, we know you're going to find things here that you will find helpful. In order to make this as beneficial as possible for everyone, be sure to subscribe and check back often for discussions and posts that will be showcased. Please engage in discussions and offer up any support or questions that you may have. Also, share this platform with your friends and colleagues. All right, welcome to session 3 of our Temper Cakes and Mixed Media project. All right, this episode is going to talk about the portrait part of our Kehinde Wiley project. If you're interested in how to do the background or how I set up and use temper cakes in my classrooms, please check out sessions 1 and 2. So this is an example of our Kehinde Wiley project. The background is painted. We use pattern and warm or cool colors. We use a photograph of themselves that they base off of a classic portrait that they have seen by another famous artist. The vocabulary we use is unity. We talk about copyright and trademark and appropriation, and then we focus on warm and cool colors. All right, these are our standards. If you want a little bit more of an explanation on those, check that out in session 2. Here are the types of assessments that we'll be using. This video is going to focus more on the formative assessment, making sure that students know how to merge the two images together, so the background and the photograph. And then once they finish this step, they'll be ready to do their summative assessment, which will be graded with a rubric and by the presentation of their artwork. All right, so the first thing that my students do is we watch a video about Kehinde Wiley and Micheline Thomas. The links to those videos were in session 2, and they're also in our posts for these 3 sessions. All right, so they're going to look at those and how Kehinde Wiley used traditional portraits and transformed them by changing the portrait of the person in those photographs. So give my students the option to go through and pick a photograph that they would like to use as the basis for their personal photograph that they're going to take. And I will either take those, or sometimes I'll pair up students to take those or put them in groups. And then the students will stand in the position or sit, depending on whatever the case may be, of the portrait that they choose. So once they have chosen those portraits, then they're going to try to take a photograph where they're sitting or standing or somehow posed in the way that they want to be. And if students want to do this part at home, like maybe they want to take a photo with their favorite pet, okay, and they've got the portrait that kind of goes with that, then I don't mind if they take them at home. They can email them to themselves and then show it to me in class, or they can just show it to me on their phone. But that is part of their checkoff for their planning for this project. Then once they've picked their photo and they've taken it, then we're going to scan in their background that they painted, and that's described more in session 2 if you're interested in going back and seeing that. So they're going to scan or take a photo of the background. They're going to make sure it scans and saves as a JPEG. Then we're going to open it up in a photo editing software. Now there are lots of different ones that you can use. For this example today, I'm using a free one, and it's called GIMP. It's very similar to like Photoshop, Adobe Photoshop Elements, or the full version of Adobe Photoshop if you're familiar with those. But pretty much any photo editing software can be used as long as it has the availability to create layers, because that's what you're going to need to be able to do with this project. All right, so this is GIMP. This is our toolbars up here. All right, this is our layers palette over on the right. And those are the main 2 areas that you're going to need to be aware of for this project. All right, so I've opened up my background that I scanned in. Right, and then I've also opened up the photograph of me that I'm going to be using for this project. So the first thing that we're going to work with is we're going to work on the portrait part. So we have to get just us out of this photograph so that we can put it onto our background image. So to do that, we're going to go into our lasso tool, and if you hover over it, it will tell you that also in this group are the scissor select and the foreground select. So we want the scissor select one for this one. So I'm going to click on it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the top of my head, and I'm going to get this big white dot, and I'm going to go to an area where my skin tone changes or the color changes, and it will automatically kind of go around my body. If it doesn't get all of it, we can fix that in just a minute. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to click anywhere that I think I need to change the color. I'm going to go to the edge of my dress, the edge of my leg. Now this, because the skin tone of my leg and the color of this door are very similar in color, I'm going to put those dots a little bit closer together. So that way I try to get as much of my leg as I can. The same thing on this side. I'm going to try to stick real close to my leg with some of my dots. The closer the color is, the more closely you need to follow that. Oh, and if you mess up, you can always do edit and undo, and it'll take away the last step. So if you notice that it didn't stick very well, you can go back and do that a little bit closer. Then when you get back to where you started, just mash the enter button on your keyboard, and it'll put a lasso all the way around your body so you can kind of see what you have. All right, if there's things that you don't want right now, it's okay. Like I've got some stuff in where my arms are and in between my feet. All right, I'm going to go back and get those things out in just a little bit. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy this and paste it onto my background. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Edit, Copy, and it's only going to copy the area that's selected by these little, we call them dancing ants, this little silhouette, your selected area. I'm going to go back to my background and paste, or you can use the shortcut, which is Control V. All right, and right now it's kind of small. All right, I want to do a couple of things. I want to get it onto a regular layer. So I'm just going to right click and I'm going to say to new layer. And so this makes it a layer that I can actually work with now. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to scale my photograph up or down, depending on which way yours comes in, so that it fits my page. And you can see by my rulers, it's 6 inches wide and 9 inches tall. So I'm going to go into my layers palette, and I'm going to choose scale layer. And I'm going to make this about 8 inches tall. Make sure you have inches selected, and I'm going to choose scale. And it will go ahead and make it the size that I want to be. If it's too big or too small, I can go back in and adjust it again. All right, then I need to get some of this extra stuff out that I don't want. So I'm going to choose my magnifier tool. I'm going to just kind of draw a box around the parts where I want to zoom in. I'm going to get my eraser tool. All right, I have a toolbar here where I can change the different sizes of my erasers if I need to. So if I start erasing now, whoa! Okay, it's giving me all kinds of crazy stuff, so I need to choose a different type of eraser. So I'm going to go to Edit, Undo. The shortcut for undo is Control Z. I'm going to come over here to my palette, and I want to choose just a soft brush. Okay, I can change my size, so if I start erasing and it's too big, I can make this bigger or smaller. I'm going to come in and just kind of erase part of this, and you're going to see the background start to show up. And that's fine. That's what we want to be able to see. Let me erase this little kind of fuzzy edge on my arm here, a little bit down here by my fingertips. I've got a little bit smaller area there, so I'm going to go down even a little bit smaller. So I can clean that up a little bit closer, look a little nicer. Right, I can hold down my space bar on my keyboard and slide this around so I can finish cleaning up the areas that I need to clean up. Okay, also if you have a big area like this that you want to do, I can go back to my scissors tool, change to free select. And if you have a steady hand, you kind of draw around and select all of that. And then you can mash your delete key on your keyboard and it'll clean out a lot of that area if you need a lot done really quickly. Oh, undo that. Go back to my eraser tool and get this little bit around the toe of my shoe. Right, and then once you get done, you can right click on this and you're going to say merge visible layers or flatten image. And then it makes it all one layer and then it's ready for you to print or save or however you want to handle this. I always tell my students to save theirs. So we go to File, Save As, and then they can name it their file name and they can choose where you want them to save it. And then you would just click the Save button. Thank you for joining us. Please take a few minutes to participate in our discussion question. I can't wait to hear all your wonderful ideas and share some of my own. Be sure to subscribe also so you don't miss any updates, post discussions, or any of the fun.